Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Schenectady City Council Committee meeting for March 2nd, 2026. We have two presentations scheduled for this evening, the first of which will be an appearance ticket. Mr. Toro?
Yes, so we're thinking maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago, PD was looking to upgrade their ticket, the way that they ticketed it. So over the years, let me find my notes. There's been many revision after revision after revision, correct? So finally, the ticket is up and running. There have been some officers that have been using it for the past week or so. They just got them in, and we'll have a presentation tonight to explain it, and that's that. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Scott Bauer, Schenectady Police. I was asked to come tonight to speak on the new appearance ticket that we recently received and are rolling out, well, we have rolled out already last week. I got into my position about a year ago. I was tasked by Chief Clifford to push this across the finish line. Again, it had been about a 3+ year project in the making at that point, and I don't exactly know why it kept falling on its face and not getting past the finish line, but I was determined to do so. Ultimately, the issue we were running into was, at its core, was efficiency, right? We had an appearance ticket that was solely for penal law charges that the officers were to complete, and then we also, I'm not sure why, created a second appearance ticket that was for city code violations. My goal at that point was to merge the two, make sure everyone was on board with that. Went to Chief Clifford with my ideas. He agreed. Went to the commissioner with my ideas. He also agreed. I met with Corporation Counsel, took their feedback on what they needed to see, and went to the courts, took their feedback. Once I had a mock-up, revisited again with everybody, everybody signed off on it, and here's what we have. Ultimately, in the packet that I just gave you guys, on top is the new appearance ticket. It's about a half a sheet long with three sheets total carbon copy. In the printouts beneath it I didn't have any old appearance tickets to give you because I had to take them all out of circulation as we don't want the officers using them anymore. It was an example of what we had. So it was a 4-color carbon copy with areas on the back for them to write. And then the final page of the packet that I've provided is our digital appearance ticket. I'll get to that in a second. But ultimately, I found the common ground between the two appearance tickets. One of the biggest complaints from the courts was that they couldn't read anything because they were getting, not only do officers have bad writing when they're in a rush, but when you get a carbon copy of bad writing, it's even worse and you can't read it. So the courts were having difficulty reading the writing on the tickets, making it difficult for them to do their jobs, and the efficiency obviously slows down. So the first thing was the original, the top copy, is now the court copy. And our sergeants are instructed that if they receive one that is illegible, they're to kick it back, and they either have to redo it or type it. The second biggest change is that we put our to it section on the front as opposed to on the back of one of the copies we had originally. That way all the information, everything is right on the front. There's no blurring of words because of the carbon copies, anything like that. It's all right then and there. Officers now have the ability on certain violations, they can do everything right on scene without having to bring the person down to the station, which reduces our liability with the person as well. And one of the other biggest changes that I made on the newest appearance ticket, if you open one of the pages, one of the first 2 pages, and you look on the back, it has essentially like a cheat code, like a cheat sheet of the most common offenses that we see that we give people appearance tickets for. One of the other complaints from the courts was that the officers were, whether they were being fast, lazy, missing steps, or it's just an oversight. They were either just not being complete with filling in the charges, whether they're writing the title but not the actual law section, or the other way around, or getting them incorrect. We gave them a guide that they can reference for the most common charges that they generally see. It's not all of them. Again, it's just the most common ones. So ultimately, we got this in a print. Like I said, it's going to hopefully boost our efficiency. They don't have to any longer worry about whether they have the right appearance ticket, because it's just one for everything. They can do most everything on scene now if the situation dictates. So they, in certain things, don't need an SIR anymore, excuse me, a standard incident report. Correct me if I'm wrong, but city code violations don't, and certain penal law violations don't, correct?
You know what?
City code violations, they don't need a report with it. It's just the appearance ticket, correct?
Right.
Right. And that was one of the big things. And as well on the penal law side, only violations. The appearance ticket suffice. Anything misdemeanor and higher would need to have a report attached. So officers are able to go on scene, limit their time with the individuals, limit the liability, just get their paperwork done, pass it off, and move on. Where are we else? The only other thing that's going to change soon is, so the last page, we have a digital appearance ticket. So officers have this fillable version on their computers. The only thing I need to do now is adjust that to match what our actual fillable hard copy appearance ticket looks like. So I'm going to add a to it section on there. We're going to rework that a little bit just so they match. And that, again, that was another request of the courts to do. So.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Munavarian?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing this forward. I know that when we rolled this out over 6 years, it was primarily driven to address nuisance. I know we had a big press conference up in Van Rankin. Some council member, I'm the only one here that was present there at that time when we rolled this out. And then there were some issues with they were two-sided, and it has to be on one side. All the documents had to be on one side, and the court was kicking it back out. So that was primarily the reason why the ticket was not had to be revised and adjusted to fit the court standard as required by them. I'm glad that we are addressing this and move forward. It's something that's long in the making. 3 years, 4 years, we're waiting on this revision. So I applaud you and your team for finally getting behind this and move this forward to address nuisance. A combination of this is really good for our community. So corporation councilors did fit the standard now to move forward with this ticket, or do they need any more? I'm sure that you had an opportunity to look at it.
We haven't had an opportunity to look at it in depth. We didn't know about it except it being on the agenda, so we can review it and get back to the council and to the lieutenant in a couple of weeks.
Yes, I would like you to, because this was one of the primary problems, is that it wasn't done properly, and back and forth, and corporation council at a time was not involved, and we end up putting it off over and over. So I would appreciate that if you and your office can look into it and advise PD and make sure that we have everything lined up before we push this out. But overall, thank you and your team finally making it happen.
You're welcome.
Just a point of clarification, I know LT, you said that you already transitioned. Is that going to be a potential hurdle, or is it going to expedite your review? Just because it sounds like they've already fully transitioned. Is that
Chief Whipple had reached out to Corporation Council and got an okay to move forward with it. So
We'll take another look at it. I mean, we get a lot of emails, so if I don't remember it, I'm sorry. We just didn't know why this was on the agenda. So I will look at it. I'll look for the email. And beyond that, if we've already approved it, that's great. If not, we'll look at it again.
Okay. Mr. Todd.
Thank you. And thank you for working on that. I'm very excited about these nuisance tickets with loud music, fireworks, littering, things like that. So if an officer pulls someone over or decide, how long will it take versus what it would take in the past time?
I mean, it's almost difficult to say, but you gotta imagine,
It might have been.
in past arrests, we used to have to actually arrest somebody, put them in our car, bring them down to the station, set up there, do our paperwork, and then release them, drive them back, whatever have you. So if you're talking even transportation time alone, we're, I'd say conservatively, I mean, you're shedding 10 to 15 minutes alone off these situations. So, and that's I want to say that's a low number. It's probably even higher than that.
So this will give officers more time on the streets for patrol and,
Correct.
right, thank you.
Any other questions or
Yeah.
comments?
Just
Mr. Grant?
follow up. So did you purchase these already? These,
Correct. Yes. Yep.
If they've already been approved, they're fine. It may
Yeah.
either be from before our time, like you said, or it's possible it was Andrew Dashinger in our office because he's the main person who deals with the court, so it might have
Okay.
gone from him.
yeah.
So it looks good on its face, so I think that we're good, but we'll look at it again and just make sure we dot our i's and cross the t's.
But sincerely, it seems as though there's no other questions or comments. I'll just add, Lieutenant Popovich, sincerely appreciate your energy that you invested in this. So sometimes it just takes a new perspective, just get things over that initial just hurdle. But glad to see that we've identified some more efficiencies, and definitely a credit to you, Ms. Toro, for pushing as well. So you're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next presentation that we have is designation of the Schenectady Poet Laureate. Mr. Richards will be coming up and providing us an overview of what he's been up to. I think for some of our newer council members, not really part of that conversation, but taking this as an opportunity to just fill us in. Yep. Thank you.
Passing something around first. Go. It's just a sheet of paper just to show you updates of what I've been doing, what's been planned. So, here we go. Make sure it's not too there. Oh, gosh, that's a big. Go, sir. Thank you. This one's for you. Thank you. This one's for you. Sir. So, I'll be quick. In 2025, so far, I've performed an inaugural poem for the City Council, which is titled Electric City. I've also performed a poem for the inauguration of Union College's first woman president, President Quiche, which is also the first woman president. I've hosted an open mic discussion with Schenectady County Community College. I apologize. Hosted a zine making workshop at both Union College and Niskayuna High School. Performed for the Schenectady Green Market. Dressed up as Max the Dog for the Grinch and wrote a holiday poem for it. Hosted workshops in Schenectady High School. Also performed at the Kwanzaa celebration for the Hamilton Hill Arts Center. Another performance in 2026, I performed for the mural recognition of Walter Simpkins at Cocoa House. And also some planned events for 2026. I'll be continuing workshops at Schenectady City Schools, Fridays from 11:30 to 1 p.m. The next one is actually scheduled for this Friday. I have a performance for the YWCA Empowerment Awards on 3/19. I'm also performing for Proctor's on 3/29. I have a performance at Cafe Lena, which is in Saratoga, at 4/25 as a Poet Laureate's performance with the Poet Laureate in Saratoga. And also, I am hosting a poetry showcase and event weekend / festival from 4/29 to May 2nd, culminating in the showcase on May 2nd in Proctor's. There's also a list of tentative dates on this. So on 4/10, there will be an open mic at Schenectady Boys and Girls Club. It is free and open to the public. On 4/3 or 4/11, there will be a slam competition between myself and someone else at the Alice Moore Center in Albany. I'll be doing a youth reading at Schenectady Library, hosting that. I'll also, like I said, be at Cafe Lena. These are all precursors to the festival at the end of the month. There's a literacy forum in Albany on the 29th. Bruce George, which is the co-producer and founder of Def Jam Poetry, may be at Union College on the 30th. We have a youth slam planned at Schenectady High School, which will be a combination of all the workshops at Schenectady High School. We have a total of about 10 to 15 students at any given day that will be competing for prizes on that day. There's also going to be a block party at Cocoa House on the day of 5/2 and a poetry showcase at Proctor's. The entirety of the festival will have proceeds go to Cocoa House to support youth for literacy and creative writing, at Cocoa House, so that's why we're hosting a block party there. And yeah, so the rest is just a list of dates, a little synopsis of everything that's going on for the festival. And those are my updates so far. So if there's anyone that has any questions or any place that you want to see me perform or put something together, I'm open to ideas at this moment in time. Last thing, I am also applying for a grant for it's a Poet Laureates grant. The total is a $50,000 grant. We are awarded $15,000 as Poet Laureates if we get it. So yes.
Mr. Shares?
So one, thank you for this. Well, I'm excited to see that you got so much planned already, and I'm sure things will be added as you go into the year. I guess I'm gonna give flowers because I feel like I was there when you did the MLK Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day as well for their inaugural, and I just didn't see it listed, but I want to say you did an amazing job. I was happy that I was able to join and hear some of the poetry you did to uplift our youth in the city of Schenectady over at MLK. So
Thank you. I apologize. I had forgotten that date is in the long list, but I remember that day as well.
Any other questions or comments? Sincerely, I cannot sit here and not recognize what you've done, not just in 2025, but your vision for 2026. Truly, it's a testament to the vision we collectively had as a council and a city for this position. I'm glad to see that there has been an equal recognition from you to be actionable and not just doing the work, but also doing the work for the benefit of our community and other surrounding communities. So sincerely, your talents are not just for ours to keep, although I love uplifting Schenectady, making sure that we're considered to other municipalities is important. So thank you. And just for clarification, we're going to have an updated appointment resolution for your application, or is what we previously submitted sufficient?
What submitted is sufficient.
Perfect.
I would say I expect you all to receive personal invites for the festival in May, so I hope to see you all there. It's going to be a good show. We have poets from across the country coming, so we have a live band as well. So yeah.
Beautiful. Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah, Mr. President, just for the new members, it's a 2-year appointment. He was appointed in September of last year, so he goes through 2027.
Perfect. Mr. Toro?
Thank you for all of this. What is zine making?
So zine making is, so just a quick synopsis. Zine is a form of, essentially, for folks that were not allowed to get into magazines, popular magazines. A lot of marginalized folks created this idea of a zine, which is a creative form of just a small magazine with poems, drawings, things like that, as a form of resilience, resistance, the whole nine. So essentially, you are taking pieces of magazines, different cultural artifacts from media, and putting together your own small storybook of sorts. So yes, it's actually become very popular nowadays. It died down a little bit, but now it's back around. So yeah. And if you all would like, I apologize. I would love to do a zine making workshop with you all if you have time. I know you're all busy. So.
But in the understanding that poetry is not one-dimensional, nor is Mr. Richards in his understanding of his commitment to the city. So if you feel like there's a space that he needs to enter in all of his free time that he has, please reach out to us as individual council members, and he'll work you into his schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will have a government operations.
at this time, I'd like to open the committee for government operations, consisting of committee members, Councilwoman Ken Riggins, Council President Paul Williams, and myself. We have one item on the agenda, review of Chapter 183 of Schenectady City Code entitled Nuisances. This was put into public hearing on February 23rd, 2026, and only came to the rail. What is the pleasure of the committee? Do I have a motion to accept?
Please.
Yeah,
Oh, excuse me, on the question, yes.
I think where you're going on this, at this point, there are no comments. At this point, it's just on for final, approval and review by the city council as drafted.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments for this group? Seeing none,
Sorry.
do I have a motion to accept it to final removal to the council?
So moved.
It's been first by President Williams, seconded by Ken Wiggins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thus ends government operations closing. Do I have a motion? Excuse me. Need a motion to close the committee on government operations?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Call to order the Finance Committee, and the first item updates ARPA and CDBG. And we're asking for this update because during our last budget, we had asked that we will revisit these items to keep us update on the progress with ARPA's drawdown, and at the same time with the CDBG reconciliation and the balancing or reconciliation of those accounts. So I'll hand it over to Ms. Carver to kind of give us a brief on the ARPA, and then we'll open the questions, and then we'll go to the CDBG.
Do you mind if we switch that around and do CDBG first?
Please.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, council president. I provided you with a one-page overview. I will start by saying that all funds that were allocated into the general budget has been successfully set up for use for CDBG funding. So we set up $150,000 for youth services. From the 2023 year, 2023, we set up $250,000 for paving, sidewalk improvements, as well as park improvements, and those things in the general budget support commercial areas for paving and sidewalks that meet the CDBG eligible area, and wayfinding, signage, and Central Park is what the park improvements would support, for the total of $769,500. In 2024, we had $360,000 for parks improvement. That will support the greenhouses that are in the general budget. And we have $250,000 for the paving and sidewalk improvements for $250,000. That will support, the EV stations and also the park improvements. So that's a total, with both of those together, $1.3 million and some change. We were also able, during the reconciliation, is identify roughly $754,000 in CDBG CV money. This money in 2020, I also gave you a screenshot from IDIS to show that funding source. This funding is CDBG, but it was drawn down from our COVID money, so we're unable to reallocate it at this time. We are working a collective effort with finance and my department that has to go back to the Treasury. Once the Treasury gets it, they give it back to us, and we can draw it down properly. So we did do the COVID relief activities, but they were just drawn from our CDBG fund. So that $754,000 will become available in CDBG funds for a grand total of roughly $2.1 million.
Or do you want to do questions at the end? Or?
I was so in terms of the reconciliation, I know during the budget here we were back and forth doing some reconciliation. Some was done, some was in the works, and they were supposed to complete. And in terms of balancing the accounts, then how is that going?
So that is what we're talking about. So when in October, originally there was some old funding from about 2020, 2022. City was able to go back to those departments and get the appropriate invoice, and it meets the needs for HUD, so we were able to do the drawdowns. But in addition to that, the other funding sources, the other items that I had listed back in October still remain the same, which was the parks and engineering. That's allocated there. The only thing right now that is pending is that $754,000 that is still between the city and the U.S. Treasury.
And all the accounts, all the federal accounts, the city accounts are all balanced?
We are
reconciled, sorry.
We are probably like 92%. Nothing's perfect. I'm not going to say 100, but yes.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Sincerely, I want to make sure we properly credit you and your department. This was a very contentious process, sincerely to ensure that we scrubbed all of our finances. Definitely, I can recognize that when things are done improperly, it is our responsibility to hold ourselves, but also those systems accountable, and very much you did both in an equitable fashion. Took a little bit of time, but sincerely, these monies that you identified, although there is still a remainder outstanding, it is going to allow us to more efficiently run and conduct the business of the city, and that deserves a appreciation. I know that as you've had conversations with recipients in multiple different fashions, there's been an adjustment to recognize what we need to do moving forward, and whether you say it or someone else does, I will your efforts are not to be misconstrued as something that you are personally pushing. We need to hold ourselves to higher standards, and it is not a slight at any previous mechanisms. That is just a recognition of what we need to do to prevent ourselves from being in this similar position again, and that would be a disservice to your work and also to the efforts of many members who are influential in those discussions, Ms. Porterfield and Mr. Farley, who were integral in those conversations. So sincerely, thank you for what you've done. That 8% outstanding is still 8%, but I think that allows us to have more confidence in our systems moving forward, and that allows us to be more efficient in ongoing discussions, so thank you.
Thank you.
So this 2 point, looking at the sheet 1 and 2, almost $2.2 million of, so we can safely say, can we safely say that this is part of the reconciliation, 2,133,000, sorry?
You can safely say that. The 1.3 is already set up.
Already
The
set up.
departments are ready to use that, meaning parks and engineering. We've met with those departments. They know what's eligible. We've been able to match the things that were identified in the general budget to where they can use that funds. That was a collective effort with Commissioner and my department. So that is already set to go. The only thing that is outstanding is just this transfer of the $754,000. And once Treasury gives it back to us, it goes back in our CDBG pot. Right now it was drawn from the CDBG pot instead of the CDBG CV pot, which was our COVID relief money. So that second spreadsheet just shows the COVID relief money is still available, but we did that work. So we need to properly fund it and draw that work down. So the 754 will be available to go back into the community.
So we could not have done a reconciliation with this. This had to go back and come back from federal government.
It has to, or else we won't be able to use it because it's set up for COVID relief.
Okay, thank you. So that's another $754,000 available. Go ahead, please, Mr. Tory.
So, thank you, Alex. When we get this money back, how will we be able to use it?
It'll have to be eligible. So what this will trigger this amount will be a substantial amendment. So we have to come before council. We may have to maybe find internal projects that would allow us to spend the funding in a timely manner, or put a request for funding out to the community to apply for that funding. But it is a process that council will have to be involved with it, because it triggers our citizen participation plan. So it's not something that we can just do in-house without feedback from the community.
Okay.
In talking to your counterparts at the various level, do you have a timeline, like when this might happen?
This will be my first time having to do this whole treasury transfer, but Finance Liz, who has done this before in 2015 on behalf of the city, says that it could take a little bit of time. So I don't know an exact time right now, but as I know, I will be sure to share that information with the clerk so she can send that out.
Perfect, thank you. Any other question regarding the CDBG? All right. We'll move into the ARPA.
Okay, I'm going to draw your attention to not the summary, but the spreadsheet that is. The highlighted lines are the balances. So as you can see, we do have several projects who have fully, since the last time I was able to report, have fully expended their ARPA funding. So still with a remainder balance is the Schenectady Foundation. We've made every subrecipient who has a balance on their ARPA fundings, we have formal communication out to each one of them and had them pretty much in writing say that they are aware of the timeline to spend and that they plan on spending it by that June 30th, 2026 deadline. So we have Schenectady Foundation with a balance of $298,000. We have Habitat for Humanity with a balance of $229,000 roughly. This money is already allocated to a project. It's just a matter of the construction actually happening for Habitat. So they are in line for that. We have Safe House. They have $319. I'm sure that they'll be able to spend that by June. We have the 2 line items that are equivalent to $723.99. That is the YWCA, and as we know, they just had groundbreaking, so that money, our construction projects, the money will spend quickly. We have Hamilton Hill Art Center, which you heard from them last round of City Council. They do have a pending invoice for roughly $92,000 that will be subtracted from that balance. We have the Cocoa House. They have been spending timely. They have roughly $16,000 in their pot, and then for youth services, roughly $79,000 left, and that should be expended over the summer. There's also the Dury. I sent on the 23rd, I sent the formal email to the pastor of the church. Hopefully you got it, because I did send that email to the clerk, but I will be bringing that forth next round to recapture Dury's ARPA money for $339,000. Right now, they just don't have the capacity. There's been some changes with leadership, and there's no steady plan that we can see that would allow them to spend that money before the deadline. There have been talks internally to use some of the funding to help support the work that needs to be done to fill in the Central Park old pool, that area, and the pipes and all of that good stuff that has to be done. But again, I will bring that legislative request forward next round.
How would that qualify? This $339,000 will qualify for that project?
Yes, the 300, anything that we reallocate, that we recapture, can qualify for any project that we already approved, and we already had ARPA money that went towards parks, pools.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
If you could bring options for that use outside of just further consideration as well.
Okay, we'll bring options, but I think the options could come internal and from City Council. That would be helpful too. We have been brainstorming on how to spend the money quickly, and that is what we came up with.
I hear you, ma'am.
Go ahead, please.
Being that this was for a church, what about the local churches that need some assistance?
So they would have had to already been approved. So the ARPA money had like a certain timeline to spend. So one of the ARPA regulations say right now that if we're going to reallocate money, it has to be to an already approved project, and we don't have any other churches that were approved for a project. Now, Councilwoman, I did send a call for implementators, so if you do know of any churches that require assistance, they can apply for our next funding for CDBG, ESG, and Home.
Okay.
Yes, please share that link for all the local not-for-profits. So other than the Dury Foundation here and Hamilton Art Center, which we just adjusted 2 weeks ago, there are no concern with the others here
No,
that you foresee?
no.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Any word from the Schenectady Foundation with food insecurity and what they are doing lately? I'm wondering why they still have that balance
I
out
met
there.
with Bob and had a very productive conversation last week, and he said that the money has been allocated to organizations,
Oh, good.
and he just needs to now start submitting for invoices because it's reimbursement.
Sure.
So he needs to start
Yeah,
doing
just some
that.
questions on that, yeah.
And I'll be remiss, I'm sorry, I forgot to update on Electric City Co-op. So they are on schedule too. We just did a site visit earlier this week, so they plan to spend by the deadline as well. They still have pretty much a full balance, $845,000. But I've been on the site and I do see they are moving.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding this? The ARPA allocation outstanding. Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you're doing. The next item is the Rose Garden Restoration Committee, potential reimbursement of expense. Are you taking that? Yep.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, Council. I have before you the Rose Garden Visitation Committee. We have a reimbursement request from them for a total of $4,985. We reimbursed $4,505 last year. The expense this year, $5,405.31. So we are providing them the maximum amount of revenue we can give them.
And that is for $4,985?
That is correct, Councilor.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is the bond ordinance for 2026 capital improvement projects.
We are asking the council to approve a bond resolution ordinance for $7,452,275. This is almost every item in the capital request that the council passed during the budget process.
Did you say this is a full amount? Sorry.
No, as I said, this is almost every item that was passed by council. There is one item for 300,000 loaders.
Okay.
That is excluded from this.
We made changes in it with the signage, some of the CDBG money that was used, and then we came up with a better deal to lease garbage trucks as opposed to purchasing them.
Okay. So 7.4, and if we $300,000 off. Okay.
Yeah, it was 7.7, now it's 7.4.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
And then, Mr. Mayor, is that moving forward or just for this year? The leasing option?
Leasing option.
We look every cycle when it comes up to see what the pricing is, the availability. And these, we got the option on what are basically new trucks that they only have like a year on them. And so we're going to take those as opposed to waiting almost 2 years to get a new truck if we order it today.
Gotcha. Thanks, sir.
Any other question regarding this bond ordinance?
Mr. Chairman, I just have
Go
a
ahead,
question.
please.
The bond, I just have a question. The bond council will prepare the bond, this bond ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. For a matter of voting, we need 5 votes for this?
For 5, I think bonding, yes.
Bond,
Five votes, yeah, 5.
So bear in mind, colleagues, we need 5 votes for this on Monday. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, may I have a motion to move this item forward?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other business before finance? May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Health and Science Recreation. Selection process of the City Housing Stability Task Force. I call into order. Health and Recreation, sorry, health, my son. I'm resuming the responsibility of the housing. I'm gonna be getting the
Agenda. Read the agenda.
selection, right here, this,
Yep, just read it.
yeah. Selection process of the City Housing Stability Task Force.
Yeah, no, I'll talk.
Oh,
Thank you. Ms. Wiggins is definitely overzealous with the reconvening this Housing Stability Task Force. If everyone would remember, this was a contentious topic, but sincerely we're here right now where the question was posed, what do we do if not considering good cause eviction? Although I was not in favor of this task force being called, we have left open a question unanswered by the council. I think part of it was due to just our extended budgetary discussions, but also with recognition of one of us not being here, really thinking that we need to be intentional with our efforts. So at this time, I did send an email to Ms. Patrick identifying just my recommendation of shifting her to co-chair and then having a conversation to be if anyone is interested in chairing this effort moving forward. To any prior members that were a part of this task force, thank you for your patience. To our community who's been patient, waiting for us to resume this conversation, thank you also. So at this time, wanting to be considerate, I did reach out to a number of other council members. I'm only one vote, but wanted to see if anyone was interested in taking up this mantle of chairing this task force moving forward.
I am.
It's your committee.
So you got to call to a vote.
Can we call the housing committee to a vote?
Mr. Ryan, do we need to vote on this?
So you're looking to be the co-chair?
The chair.
The chair, yeah. You have to do a resolution, appointing yourself as the chair, and then it'll go to the full council on Monday night. And then the second thing is that the original legislation had a 120-day period to report back. That obviously has expired, that time period. Do you wish to have the new 120-day period starting from the adoption of this resolution, so the clock starts again?
Yes.
Okay. So we can do 120 days from the adoption of the resolution, and Councilmember Wiggins will be the new chair, with Councilmember Patrick as the co-chair. Okay.
So just need to move the resolution. Just need to move the resolution.
Oh, yes. Can we move it forward with the resolution, please?
Yes, I would like to move the resolution as outlined by the Corporation Council, with adding 120 days as adopted and with the new language.
Right.
Thank you. I move that.
You and Mr. Toro have to second.
Second it.
You second it?
No, you gotta call for a second.
Got to do what?
Call for a second.
Can
Is
I
there
get
a
a second? Can I get a second, please? Someone second? I call for second.
You can second it.
Okay.
Just all those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And your aye.
My eye is in. All right, can we move to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Yeah.
We adjourn. Thank you.
So I'd like to call to order City Development and Planning. We have 9 items on the agenda tonight, first of which is to enter into an easement agreement with the Maxon Alco Properties LLC for the Mohawk River Overlook located at Mohawk Harbor. Mr. Wong.
Hello. The city received a CFA grant several years ago for the construction of a overlook of the Mohawk River on Mohawk Harbor property, which is Maxon Alco Properties, Inc. Spent a couple of years developing it. It actually was on hold while the M&T Center was developed because they was to complement each other in the space. With the M&T Center was decided on its location and started that, and we worked hand in hand with the Gillespie Group on the construction of the landing and the overlook. It was completed in September, and it is a great little asset for the city. One of the things I highlighted on here in the second whereas is about, I asked them to include, the county has an easement on this property. If you've been to Mohawk Harbor, there is a bike path that goes through the property. The overlook is directly adjacent to the bike path, so that is like a spot of respite for people if they'd like to stop off their bikes and look at the river. But the property is entirely private property. At the top, it also talks about an easement agreement with the environmental easement. The entire property was paid for through brownfield tax credits. So the entire property is a brownfield, as most people know. So this easement is for the plaza and the benches in the area. We are not taking responsibility for anything below the plaza. That is still subject to the easement. And as it states in the agreement, Maxon Alco aka lessee, they will do the maintenance, pick up the trash, and handle that of the harbor. However, if the of the overlook, but if the overlook needs any larger capital scale improvements, if a light is broken or if a bench needs to be replaced, then that would come from the city out of one of our operating budgets.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Thank you.
The next agenda item is a reminder of the neighborhood revitalization strategy area. There will be a public hearing held next week, March 9th at 2026. Any comments or questions? All right, hearing none. Moving on to the next agenda item, ceremonial resolution for Irish American Heritage Month 2026. Mr. Mayor.
Kind of defer to the member of the council who wants to take that and ask the council to move that forward. And believe AOH has some dancers scheduled for.
They usually do, yes.
That is something that we do every year, and get the dancers in and have an event here, enjoying the movement. Yep. I'm so happy to move that.
And then we can coordinate to have someone take up that resolution moving forward. So may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I moved it on. That's all
Move
right.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next agenda item is the appointment of Kaisha Blanchard to the Civilian Police Review Board. Sincerely, she was not able to make it, or they were not able to make it here tonight. I think if we can recall, this was a vacancy that's been extended for a number of months into 2025. Whenever I think we're able to identify an individual from our community interested in giving more, and if you had an opportunity to review their resume, sincerely they are capable, confident to ensure that these boards, that these committees have the able bodies, but also the renewed interest to carry forth this work. That's not anything that we should shut our eyes on. So I'm confident that this individual will be able to recognize the gravity of what the CPRB does and carry that moving forward. So with that, if there are any questions or comments, Mr. Dora.
Thank you. I read her resume, more than qualified, but on this morning's news, Albany Common Council is having an issue, of course, finding individuals to fill these positions, but also vetting. So I did go to our code. Do we vet at all? And it's got nothing to do with Kaisha here. How does that work? I know you were instrumental in starting that. Do we vet our candidates?
I would say that's a question for the law department. Ms. Brosh or Mr. O'Brien, with regards to vetting candidates for committees or boards.
I did read everything in the code that we had about, not having any past felonies, things like that. I just wondered if we had anything, in case we ever come up with what Albany's going through at this point as far as vetting our individuals. I mean, it's hard enough to get individuals that want to participate in it. It's a very difficult position to be in. I just didn't know if we had anything.
Yeah, I'm not aware that we
No.
do background checks or anything like that.
But there's just to follow on the comment that the ordinance says no felony convictions.
Right.
And I think with Albany, the issue with Albany is there was a lack of self-disclosure there. And
Yeah.
that's what was causing the problem.
Yeah. It was,
A criminal records background check is probably run. I don't know if it is.
No, it is not.
We never done that
Okay,
before.
so they don't, but it's a matter of self-disclosure. And I think understanding that was a big problem. And it was a matter, obviously, the individuals knew they had felony convictions, but they did not disclose that. So, and obviously that's a disqualifying issue once it's discovered. So, with that being said, I just have a question regarding this applicant. Is this individual representing any organization as
It'd be the CPR or the city council. Representative.
Okay, that's what that's good.
And I'd say to your point, Mr. Toro, that's definitely something we can consider during the budget season. I think, and then also maybe doing some internal polling when we are reaching out, receiving interested persons, having these very detailed, open conversations. I think self-identifying absolutely can be a step one, but I think short of having like a pandemic or seeing this on a greater scale, I'm comfortable moving forward, but I don't want to discredit what you've highlighted.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chase.
Just a question for Corporation Counsel. Would what you're saying for self-disclosure, would it just be easier to have them do a background check? I mean, you can do it online.
No,
Is that something that you would feel that you would need to do, or?
I don't think we have the capability of doing that background check. I don't think it's
It's not a requirement.
It's not. It's a self.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't know why. Do you know why they don't do background checks?
In Albany?
No.
I don't know.
Mayor, do you know?
Well, there is background checks done on people that are hired for the city. This position is solely for the city council, so whatever the council does is your prerogative. And again, you cannot run a criminal history for a civil matter, for employment or things like that. It can only be done for criminal matter.
So that goes for the members of for the neighborhood as well. It goes for the other appointments.
Correct.
To the board. So it doesn't make a difference between mayoral appointments with advice and consent by the council or your council appointment. It doesn't distinguish. So with that being said, because this is a civil, as the mayor said, this is civil, we can't do a background check, but self-disclosure is obviously the best thing. And obviously, if that does come to light, then the person's disqualified and removed.
Thank you.
Here, no other questions or comments? Oh, Mr. Rivera?
This person is a resident of the city of Schenectady?
Yes.
Thank you.
That was my second question after, are you sure you want to do this?
That would be second question. I always said that's my first question. Do you really want to do? Do you know what you get yourself in?
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item is a discussion regarding the general fund for the fiscal year 2026 revenue lines. I know we have some newer council members present. During those budgetary discussions, we identified those areas. Let's get some time. Pardon me. Yes, so as related to the speed sign camera schools, the fines for parking, and the bus patrol safety fines. There was an update email from Chief Whipple who said that he's received a contract from the law department and forwarded over to the vendors, so excited to know that that is moving forward. I did have an outstanding question. Mr. Rivera and Mr. Toro, please correct me if I'm wrong. I was working under the understanding that during our budget proceedings that we were prompted by Corporation Counsel that based on our outstanding fines and collections that we were considering another company, and then that would prompt having another contract to be forwarded to the council. That was at least the understanding that I had as we were considering the outstanding monies and what we could appropriately receive moving forward. Presently appears that that's not the case, but I did want to have that question out to Corporation Counsel, and then also if I am speaking incorrectly, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Toro or Mr. Rivera.
Are you talking about parking fines for?
When we were discussing during the budget, if I may, when we were discussing these revenue line items, we were asking more like what is currently being done, and if there are any, and then there were some shortfalls. And then there was conversation about us going to a new vendor or a supporting vendor to support the existing agency or vendor.
Okay.
And that's something that we were told that more than likely will happen.
So from.
Solely being done within the police department. And they were changing some of the procedures to notify people to bill them to try and collect on that. And I don't know to what degree there's been, it's the 1st of March, so in a little bit more time we would know. A lot of it's just mailing and trying to call people to see if in fact it has improved the revenue or to look for some other vendor.
Yes. That was a discussion.
It is a problem with this certain category of these have parking tickets, other ones where you get people who pay very quickly and promptly. We want to reward those people, thank them. There's some slow payers, and then there's some that it becomes very hard to collect on.
And just to follow up on another thing with the bus, the camera, that was something I was discussing going to court, back and forth. How is that going?
So I do have an update on that. A lot of papers in front of me. I can't find the paper right now, but basically, oh, here it is. Okay, so when someone fails to respond to a ticket, they're mailed a notice of liability with the option to pay the $250 fine or to deny liability and mail the ticket back to Bus Patrol. If the person does not mail the ticket back within 30 days after the deadline date, Bus Patrol will mail a second notice to the individual. If another 30 days goes by, then this ticket is referred out to a collection agency. The collection agency attempts multiple times per day to contact the person with the overdue ticket. If payment is made, the agency would get, I don't have the exact number, but about 25% of the money recovered, and then the city and Bus Patrol split the rest 50-50. If payment is made during the time where the agency is working on the case, they automatically receive the 25%. They wouldn't know the circumstances as to why a person may have paid. Now, that's when people basically ignore the notices. And so we have worked out this system, and we do have a collection agency working with us and with Bus Patrol. So we got that in place like we said we would. With regard to people who deny liability and fail to appear, then that results in a civil judgment, and that goes to Schenectady County Clerk's office.
And that is for the speed sign camera, or is it for Bus Patrol?
That's for school bus.
School bus.
Yeah. We don't have the speed cameras, as you know, yet, so.
Oh, okay.
In the school zone, so at this moment, there's not collections, of course, on that.
Go ahead, please.
I think
Yours.
it's yours.
Oh, sorry. Yours.
I do remember the PD was going to follow up on the tickets, and the longer they were, the less chance we have of recovery. So I do remember that, and thank you for putting the collection agency in part of that. So I do remember that being said for the school bus tickets. And I don't know what the recovery rate would be. Do we have any idea of how much? No.
No, this is relatively new,
Okay.
so it's going to take probably a good 6 to 9 months to have real data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Sincerely, this was just to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable as a council. I think wanted to be very responsive, so that is why these quarterly finance updates that we're going to be receiving, I think starting next month, having a really good understanding of where we are incrementally throughout the year, and if any adjustments are needed, it'll be more timely to make those at a midway point, as opposed to having extended budget discussions towards the end of the year. But to Mr. Toro's point of outstanding or recoverables, is there any way that we could, to Eric, have that outlined on that quarterly finance report?
Yes, you can.
Perfect, thank you.
Do you want year-to-date numbers
Yes,
for
please.
first quarter?
And the natural quarterly updates that we'll be receiving.
Okay.
Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments regarding that agenda item, we'll move to the next, which is another discussion regarding the City Code Chapter 161-21, Public Collection and Disposal of Solid Waste, Next Steps. So this has very much been an ongoing discussion, not without just extended dialogue of trying to understand as a city how do we respond to just the rising costs of waste and recycling removal from our city, and then how we need to position ourselves legislatively as a council to best support the Office of General Services. I've done some anecdotal research and I'm well positioned to provide that to the council. I want to have this, though, discussion, if anyone has any responses to what I'm about to say. This is very much introductory with the understanding that we need to make a decision. So definitely this is the start of a conversation. My recommendation thereafter is that we have this brought back in 2 weeks with more ironing out of details, and then following that, so a month removed from today's meeting, wanting to have the ability to make a determination. And I say that for a number of reasons. One, we cannot keep ill-advising our city of what we're going to do, pausing and stopping incrementally. I think it is very much sends the wrong message to them, and also to the staff that are required to uphold the recommendations we give. I think it is incumbent on us to make a decision and then live through that, and if we need to adjust, we can adjust. So I'll get into what I've pretty much identified. I think it's a multi-tiered issue, one of which the fact that we do not have trash collection on one day and the fact that it shifts throughout the year is very much cumbersome, not just on new residents, but also for established. If you expect someone to understand what day to put their trash out at the beginning of the year, at the middle of the year, and at the end of the year, I did a breakdown. In District 1, your trash pickup date changes 10 times. In District 2, your trash pickup date changes 10 times. In District 3, which is the most, your trash pickup date transitions through 12 times. District 4 and District 5, your trash date transitions 11 times. And what that means is, and I've had extended conversations with Paul Fond, based on any holiday falling within a week, that adjusts pickup for everyone. And we all recognize that as established Schenectadians, but truly when people move into the community, you are at the detriment of whether your neighbors put out their trash right, because I often hear people, and it is a code, it is a violation if you put out your trash too early. So sincerely, as a legislative body, we need to recognize that if part of the issue that was presented to us of how do we address bulk items and how do we address jackpots, are we even able to identify what normal trash looks like if the date continuously moves? Because there are some dates, if you look at those schedules, where your pickup might be outside of a week. And I can tell you with 2 babies and a wife, what we put out for 5 days is not going to be the same as what we put out for 7 days. And part of the discussion that we had was, well, individuals need to be responsible and then withhold some of that and put them in a garage or shed unit. But that is not the option for a lot of our tenant-based community members. Secondly, there is an understanding of how we address the expectations for holiday pickup. And looking prematurely to some surrounding communities, my sister lives in Rhode Island, your trash day is your trash day. So if it's Monday at the beginning of the year, it's Monday at the end of the year. But that really poses a question of whether we are going to pay this staff holiday or overtime pay. But my conversation with Mr. LaFond, and I did not expect for him to be present for this conversation, truly it is just to present you with an option. He said trash has been down 10%. And I don't want to steal any credibility from his discussion that he'll be providing to us our next cycle. But I think it's looking at how our economy is different, how our social behaviors are different. I think as a nation, we are being more conservative. We can't depend on that moving forward. So one of the recommendations that I have is that we move to bins. I do not think it's realistic for any of our trash loaders or drivers to be counting bags. And we can put any number on that. I don't think it's realistic. I'm one of 7 votes. I think the conversation that we will ultimately wind up having is how do we transition our entire city to bins? And I think with that, it forces us to have the conversation of what does that look like? Because I think we need to look at our workers' compensation claims, which are attributed to excessive pickups. And I think we also have to acknowledge just bags present different issues. As a mainly inner city community, all bags aren't created the same. So if you put out a clean bag, there's nothing to say that your neighbor's dog or that nuisance of a squirrel is not going to come around, rip it open. And then that creates a different scenario where the Office of General Services is expected to pick up any items that fall by the wayside. I've shadowed them, and they're out there with brooms and shovels cleaning up because someone improperly bagged their trash. That's unacceptable. So although that recommendation of transitioning to receptacles is not easy, I think there presents an opportunity to identify some grants. I looked into New York City and they have a 50% match. But every other municipality I've been in, they've had city receptacles. And that truly is something that I've been trying to figure out a way around this. I would love to hear any opinions or options, but also what I want to end with is any decision that I believe we make for waste removal is something that is going to have to take place in 2027 because of the budget implications. So sincerely, we are looking at the future, and the future of waste removal needs to be updated within the city, and it is up to us to figure that out. We cannot put off this conversation any longer. So with that, I'd like to open it up for questions or comments. Mr. Woodgreen?
Yes. When we discussed this a couple of years ago in terms of the jackpot, the initial conversation was started with jackpot and then move away to bulk item and then the garbage bags. Mr. Mayor, any way that we can go back to the beginning and look at the jackpot and come up with another recommendation in terms of jackpot? In terms of
The council has to make a decision in terms of what a jackpot is.
I mean,
You can go to cans, you can go to bags, you can say it's cubic yards, you gotta give me some measurement.
well, we had that initially from your staff in terms of cubic yards. But I just want to ask, can we go back to those initial conversation and kind of like start work our way back to something feasible? Yes, we would like to that, but sometimes we don't have all the information. I mean, your staff, your department would be helpful to help us to get to that point where we can come up with a recommendation.
Tell me what you want. What I need is a number.
But would we, I mean, I don't want to back and forth with this, because I remember that when we were talking initially about this, it was like more of how do we measure it?
Right.
And that was the department, Mr. LaFont, who said, well, we have to come up with something, and a recommendation from him. How do we measure? Do we do with a front-end loader, scoop it up, and it says that's a cubic yard, 2 yard, 3 yard, 4 yard? Do we charge them for that? Because those people have put the entire front of their property out for garbage. Those are the garbage we're looking at, not the 2 cans or the 5 bags or 6 bags. It's more of people just cleaning out the entire apartment and lining the entire front of their property. Those are what we're calling the jackpots. We wanted to go back initially, like 3-4 years ago, when we started the discussion. And let's work our way to something more feasible, and we can address this and move forward with an understanding that this is a measurement. This is where we address jackpot, garbage, and move forward with it, and not focus on the cans and bags, or more of that. I'm throwing that out to see if we can start that conversation back.
Yep, we've gone down this path a couple times, so you gotta give me a number. If it's in cans, say the number of cans. Is it in bags? In bags? Is it cubic yards? Is it something that is practical in terms of being able to be measured in the field? And it may not be 100% accurate, but you gotta have some threshold that we can assess a fee when people go over it. Again, Mr. Williams points out there are times because of the pickup where people get 6 days, 7 days worth of garbage, and those are things that you could build into the schedule so that if you know that pickup after Thanksgiving or the pickup after Christmas or New Year's is going to be heavier, and we give some allotment to the people in the field. Or you do 1 day or 2 day a year when you can clean out your garage or clean out the house, and you're going to get X amount more of quantity you can put out. But the council's got to give me some of those numbers so that we can actually manage it.
And then if I can interject, the issue with the bags is you're always going to have people with canisters, and if we identify the number as 5, what if there's a canister with more than 5 bags? So I think the compliance is an issue, because if you don't hold that person accountable, then you are kind of undermining your system. But also, are we expecting the loaders to count bags that they're pulling out of the trash cans? That's not realistic, because you're just dumping that in the back of the truck. So sincerely, I think it's a matter of practicality. And I would say if you were questioning this, I would recommend everyone go out. You don't need to shadow them for a whole shift. You can watch them for one street. It's clear what we have to do. We have to have a clear definition. And I think once we have that, we can then evaluate whether that's the most appropriate solution. We have to start. And I agree with the mayor on that. So we have to give them a clear reason. And although it started with the premise of adjusting jackpots, we've recognized that the root cause is significantly deeper. So we're going to that instead of putting a Band-Aid on. Mr. Toro?
Yeah, thank you. So we sat around this table, trash task force, let me just say. Myself, Mr. Maseka, Michelle, there were a group of us here, and we kept asking for Ms. Porterfield was would be task force as well. Mr. LaFond told us approximately how much trash each individual collects. They've got data going back for years and years. We talked about, I looked into the city of Utica. The city of Troy brought trash cans with their ARPA money. I mean, at the time, we had like $52 million to buy trash cans. Some of the people, specifically one, what if they lose it? I mean, it went back and forth bantering. We went from 45-gallon cans to 50-gallon cans. I went as far as made videos of how many bags we could actually fit in a 30-gallon can, 45-gallon can, 60-gallon cans, what kinds of bags would sit in there. And we kind of came up with 2 receptacles per household plus a can, and then basically got nowhere. Ms. Porterfield didn't want to pass anything through. She eventually left the committee, so there was really nothing that we could do to move anything forward. And that's when this bulk came through. As far as a jackpot, I mean, if there's 2 couches, a lamp, and 3 bags, is that a jackpot? Again, the city's actually losing money paying for each resident to remove their trash, and it's not fair. So, like you say, we need to set some guidelines, give the mayor some guidance of what we want to do. We have to be fair to the neighbors behind me that have 4 children, a husband and a wife, and one of the gentlemen who drives a sanitation truck that has a family of 10. So we really need to come up with something, figure out what we're going to do, and hopefully Mr. LaFond will help us get some numbers.
And thank you for that account. I just want to make sure it's accurate. I think the recommendation that we received from that trash committee or waste committee, excuse me if I'm not capturing that correctly, was recommending to adjust not only waste, but bulk items at the same time.
Right.
What we will discuss in a few seconds is how the bulk items was an utter failure. Not in the concept, but just in the implementation.
Right.
So what we can almost assume is that this could have been compounded by adding on too much. And what I can recommend as a change agent is that if you change too much, you can also not accurately assess what you do change. So we could have just been wasting our time. And I think it was under that premise that Ms. Porterfield was more considerate of her time. But in no way do I think it's accurate to reflect that she just stepped away without investing in that space. And at least for myself as a voting member, it was just not wanting to overload our staff. But we recognized that we weren't able to collect data. We weren't able to start off with the proper education. That's not a slight on anyone, that's just what happened. So I think to say we were planning on doing more, and the fact that we didn't is a detriment or a disservice to what the council did. I think we saved issues being truly bigger than what they are right now. But not to delay the conversation. Didn't intend to have any decisions from anyone. Just very much, it's just underscoring what we need to identify. And it is not going to be easy, but this, I think, is our first real test to the community of what this council is made of. I think if we do the research, if we play back what was discussed tonight, come with some actual recommendations, I'm confident we'll figure this out. One, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but we do need to pick a lane and then really look at what it's going to take to pull that off. If there are any other questions or comments with this agenda item, we can move on to the next. Mr. Toro?
Thank you. So Mr. LaFond, he'll be here in 2 weeks?
Yes, so sorry not to cut you off, his data point was that trash is down. So he has prematurely, and it's based on the mayor's feedback,
Right.
is going to make himself readily available. With that, it's making sure that we all have where we stand. So I would say if you have a recommendation, please share that with the council. We are not mind readers, and we will have a more productive conversation if we know where each other stands. So I think sharing your opinions openly and in advance will just help ensure that this next conversation is very meaningful. So if there are no other questions or comments, we can move to the next agenda item, which is the discussion around the bulk trash sticker program. I personally do not feel that it was an absolute failure. I think it identified, and Mr. LaFawn held the same, that it did curb some behaviors. I think what we recognized is that there were logistical challenges with people being able to pick up stickers, primarily from City Hall. The expiration dates also didn't help when we mailed those out with a good intent. And then wanting to make some recommendations of whether we incorporate some QR codes for education so people understand what the bulk item or bulk fee schedule recognizes. And then enforcement is huge. If we put this fee schedule back into effect, which is not my recommendation at this point, we need to ensure that we're enforcing those bulk areas around the city where people are just not putting it out in their front lawn, they're putting it in their neighbor's front lawn, or they're putting it down the street in that little quiet area. I don't know if that looks like having more cameras up, but sincerely, we need to make sure that we are supporting ourselves and not wasting our time. But also wanting to have a just innovative perspective about this initiative in general. We always talk about like monetarily penalizing people, but what if we had an opportunity to incentivize compliance? What if there were 2 periods throughout the year where we had free pickup days where you didn't need a sticker? I think very much is going to require that type of ingenuity, and this is once again where I can see our newer council members providing just a new perspective on issues we've been dealing with for an extended period of time to ensure that we're just not replicating the issues. But the bulk fee schedule started based on how do we address jackpots from, as Mrs. Toro highlighted, the excessive couches when people are evicted, the landlord just dumping everything on the front lawn. And previously Schenectady had this knowledge of, or had this mantra of, you get it on your front lawn, it'll be gone when you come back from work. Those costs have truly escalated, and we can't continue like that. So if anyone is frustrated with this new process, I get you. It is either this, or we truly consider going to a privatized model. And that is a discussion that nobody wants to talk about, nor am I recommending, but sincerely the service that our Office of General Services puts forth to the city is second to none. We just need to make sure we're doing our part to help not make their jobs, setting them up for failure day in and day out. So once again, I said a lot. Sincerely, the intent is to just have this conversation come back with your guided recommendations or suggestions. But again, within the same guise, we need to make sure that we have a solution for this. Mr. Bryan.
Mr. President, the members of the council, just back in December, you put in an ordinance to suspend the trash collection for 60 days. The 60 days expires 4 March. That can be extended. I don't know if the mayor's going to administratively suspend that indefinitely, or you want to do a legislative extension of that suspension, which is expiring.
I would say, outstanding discussion, I'd recommend we extend it for 90 days, and I'd be very clear, I have no interest in extending it beyond that. So again, everything that I just said, I can type up and send in an email. I think there needs to be an ability to decentralize purchasing. There, to an extent, needs to be the ability for us to have people purchase it online. What that looks like, I don't have all the answers tonight, but sincerely, I think we need to wrap our heads around how do we improve this program so that the second iteration is better. It does not need to be perfect, but we just need to not repeat the issues that were highlighted as major concerns for our community, because we need to figure this out. We can't return back to, and we can't return back to turn to our taxpayers just because we couldn't figure it out. Like, those days are over. Like, we can't do that. We need to evaluate our systems, sincerely. Mr. McGran?
So you mentioned 90 days. Do you think we can achieve that in 90 days?
If I did not want to recommend it.
Because we
I'm sorry,
we
what
passed
was
it
the
around the
first?
last time, and we didn't have an opportunity to revisit this. Maureen, we extended for another 90 days, and what is the approach for us to come up with something more feasible and to move forward, and how do we address this?
Oh, we have to start.
Yeah.
So I don't think we start with having an open-ended delay, because I can tell you, hearing from our union president, they need a decision because they're getting killed out there. So I think we paused it because of the inefficiencies with it. We can't just have a blanketed suspension because as of right now, that reads differently to the workers and to the community. Mr. Toro?
Oh, I didn't hear, I'm sorry, I didn't hear Mr. Mudabaran's question that he asked you.
Oh, he
so-
said it's 90 days enough time.
Oh, okay. Well, if I can respond, it has to be enough time. We're pushing the council to get a quicker resolution. We're losing revenue by not having it having it done. And it might move us along to kind of come up with some solutions. But I'll be interested to hear what Mr. Lafon has to say, because we did discuss other towns, once a year, twice a year, they put out bulk, but again, it would interrupt our trash schedule. We'd have to go into overtime, we'd have to pay a lot of extra money to have those things done, and the cost of it as a tipping fee. So, but anyway, I'll be interested to hear that, but 90 days is a long time.
And I think less of the revenue, because we identified that was between $20,000 and $25,000, which really pales in comparison to our overall budget. I think it's more of how do we address those behaviors that are taking advantage of our current waste collection system. Mr. Chairs?
I agree with you. I think 90 days is enough time for us to come to a decision. I know we got a late start this year. This has been an ongoing conversation before a lot of us got into the council as well. But I, along with Councilwoman DeToro's statement, agree. I think we need to also look at the logistics and the data numbers to see what that price difference is going to be if we do incentivize, right? Then incentivizing, if we're concerned about the budget and how it looks with bulk, right? There's a way, and I think you already alluded to it a little bit, right? Paying that overtime is going to actually save us money in the long run compared to continue to try to pick up budget items and a bulk item, over the time period of a year. So I think that's some data as well. When Mr. Lafon comes, that we need to make sure that we ask to get a full view of what we're saving, not just talk about spending, but what we've seen year over year based over a 3-year time frame.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So again, both this and the previous item are linked. They will be back on the agenda in 2 weeks in a similar fashion. I just ask if you have any recommendations or comments to share those with the collective. And then I'll be short and short. Mr. Lafon has an accurate reflection in his presentation. Mr. Inger?
When does the 60 days expire? For
March 4th.
March 4th. So should we extend it prior to March 4th, just so that we don't...
That can only be done administratively by the mayor during the gap period, so, but this, because you had a public hearing which allowed you to extend it, you don't have to do a public hearing, you pass the ordinance on Monday, because the original, the ordinance that you had language in it that it could be extended, so therefore, you're extending an additional 90 days, and the ordinance will take effect immediately.
So, Mr. Mayor, if you'd be open to not...
If the council moves forward, we would act in a manner consistent with what the council's intent is.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McGrann?
No, that's what I was going to ask, the recommendation to move forward is rather than wait for 2 weeks, is to move forward, have a new resolution extending the period, and let's work our way to come up with something feasible.
Absolutely.
By that time.
Thank you.
So we'll have to move that.
So we have a resolution to adjust, to extend 90 days.
Yes, so move.
Second. All's in favor?
Aye.
The last two items, or at least the next one, will be discussed in executive session. Is that correct, Ms. Brosh?
Yes, Mr. President.
So with that, I'll ask a motion to enter executive session.
So moved.
Second. All's in favor?
Aye.
We are in executive session, and members of the public will have to leave.